The annual Red, White, and Boom fireworks event has been canceled. The board of directors announced this news Thursday, but the patriotic celebration display will continue as a 4-night televised event. Nearly 400,000 Ohioans gather along the banks of the Scioto River in downtown Columbus each year for the event. Red, White, and Boom is the largest 4th of July celebration in the Midwest. The television event will take place from Wednesday, July 1st to Saturday, July 4th. As the COVID-19 pandemic continues to lead to the cancellation of many events across Ohio, county fairs may be the next to join this trend. Our own Chuck Ringwald sat down with AG expert Andy Vance to find out more.
The Marion County Fair was set to run from June 29th through July 4th and would have marked its 170th anniversary. Some 4-H events are still set to continue, though. Andy Vance, our agriculture expert, joins us now to talk about whether Marion County's decision could be the start of a trend. Andy, you can't have a mass gathering under the current stay-at-home order. County fairs, at least for this summer, seem bleak. Do you see the rest of the state's counties following suit?
It's a real possibility, and certainly the fairs that are coming up in the month of June and the rest of the month of July are the ones that I would expect to see making some sort of decision, either if they're canceling or somehow altering their operations. We're a month out from the first county fair in the state, Paulding County. At this point, they haven't made any announcement yet. Pickaway County, which is a little closer here to the central Ohio area, will be a week basically after that. Harrison County, I believe, is also in June.
Here it is.
Several in July.
The news about the coronavirus.
Sitting there and their board members trying to decide, is the governor...
That's right.
Going to
the news about the coronavirus.
Larger events, particularly outdoor events. But I'm having a hard time. You and I were talking earlier that I had some concert tickets for July that have been canceled here in Columbus. You're seeing events far out. We're involved in the dog show community. There are dog shows clear out into August and September that have been canceled because of these prohibitions on large group gatherings. County fairs are some of the largest group gatherings in the state of Ohio every summer. One of the most important parts of my childhood, and so I hate to see what we're seeing in Marion County, but totally understand and respect their decision given the circumstances.
Now that decision's got to have a major impact on local economies. We talk about Main Street being hurt by this. For some small businesses, county fairs are a chance to get in front of people, showcase their products, and make a profit that they rely on all year, right?
Every county fair I've ever been to had a series of buildings. We'd call them the merchants buildings when we were growing up. That's where your local businesses come out to kind of showcase their marketing efforts. Think about them as like mini trade shows, but they're just a great place for rural communities to gather and to be able to talk about things in the community, support the local businesses. You'll have local vendors, whether they be food and concession type vendors, who are also going to be significantly impacted by this because of the business they will do at a county fair. And it's going to be a real hit for them, just like every business that's been closed during this epidemic. What happens because of the loss of revenue to these communities is kind of yet to be seen. I don't know that there have been any great economic impact analyses done on how much revenue a county fair brings to a community, but it's certainly going to be hurtful to the businesses and I think the psyche of rural Ohio and rural America in general.
Now, the state fair has not made any announcement saying whether or not it's been canceled or postponed, but again, the possibility seems slim that it would happen as it normally does. If it does go on as scheduled, though, how do you see the landscape of all of these things changing?
Well, from the county fair to the state fairs, there are going to have to be some major changes in terms of, maybe we say there are only certain numbers of people in that merchants building we talked about. You think about the Great Ohio State Fair, greatest state fair in the country. The Bricker building is a great big building that has vendors and trade show type folks in it. And they're packed in cheek but jowl. I have a hard time thinking that you'll be able to continue with that type of density. Maybe it's what you see at retail outlets that are opening now, where you can only have a certain number of people in the building at a time. So that's going to mean you have a fair worker at the entrance, with a clicker, one in, one out. Is it going to necessitate having the one-way aisles like you'll see at some grocery stores now, that people can only go through those buildings in a one-way flow of traffic? Maybe it's going to require the changing of the schedules of when certain events happen. Maybe they can't have the concerts because the density that you can have in the Celeste Center is too high. These are all questions that I'm sure that fair organizers are grappling with now. Whatever the governor and Dr. Amy Acton decide, the state fair will obviously have to follow, because the relationship between the state and the state fair. But I'm sure that the state fair management is in the governor's ear, asking him to do whatever he can within, the reasonable bonds of reality to let the state fair happen in some capacity.
Ag expert Andy Vance, thank you, and talk to you soon.
Hey, Northeast Ohio, Cleveland, I'm Andrew Kozak with your Weather on the Ones forecast right here on Spectrum News 1. Appreciate you joining me as we head into, a busy 24 to 48 hours. Make sure to join me on Facebook at facebook.com/Andrew Kozak TV, Andrew Kozak TV on Twitter, Instagram, and on Snapchat. This is the big story. We're talking about a freeze warning for every single county in Ohio, and we're not alone. Michigan included, most of West Virginia, a large portion of Kentucky, all the way down to the Tennessee border, in fact, even into Tennessee, and then even heading into parts of the deep south. We have freeze watches in effect. This is a really cold air mass coming in, sparing almost nobody on the eastern section, we'll say half of the country. So if you want to enjoy the outdoors, do it at your own risk Friday. We'll have some showers out there. Saturday I put the check mark because we will recover in the afternoon, but the first half of the day is really cold. A couple showers on Sunday, and then next week, so much better. We're not going to have a quick recovery, but at least we'll take some baby steps to get back into some normalcy as we head into next week. Some headlines tonight: increasing clouds, breezy and colder, certainly much colder by the morning hours. We'll look at a cold wave to the south of I-70. For us, a couple of showers. Again, the big story Friday into Friday night and then into Saturday morning. We have that freeze warning into effect. We're in the north, and that means a few snowflakes to the north applies to us. We're going to track some snow. We might even track some lake effect snow showers that could cause a few areas of light accumulation inland. We'll talk about that in just a second. We've had a couple of sprinkles to the east of us, but the real story for the next couple of hours will be that we'll slowly cool into the low 40s overnight and into the morning hours Friday, upper 30s by about 7. Clouds are in place, and maybe a couple of sprinkles. As you can see, we'll start to really see those clouds thicken up by about 7 o'clock in the morning. 30s along the shore. We're looking at maybe mid to upper 40s a little further south. And there's the rain, as you can see, just to our south. Columbus, Zanesville, a better chance for some moderate to heavy rain. Up in our neck of the woods, it really is going to be late Friday night into Saturday that the snow, or potential for snow, becomes more of an issue. There's Sandusky around 2 o'clock in the morning Saturday. And while some of those flakes that fall will accumulate lightly, the temperatures are also going to be conducive to anything that falls sticking. So maybe a half an inch in Akron. Medina could see a half an inch. Even Canton could see a half an inch of snow by the time we get into Saturday evening. Friday lows start off in the 30s and 40s. High temperatures, well, they're well below where they should be. I'll come back in less than 10 minutes and find some relief in your 7-day plan.
Every morning, the people of Ohio have the opportunity to wake up and start fresh.
We want to be a different kind of news channel, putting storytelling and community first.
Your morning news, weekday mornings on Spectrum News 1.
Wake up and start fresh.
We want to be a different kind of news channel, putting storytelling and community first.
Well, it's really humbling to be invited to our neighbors' homes and help them plan their day.
Welcome to Your Morning News. I'm Sophia
Let's
Constantine.
take a look at your weather on the ones. We've got a large band of precipitation.
Your morning news, weekday mornings on Spectrum News 1. Sunday mornings, take an in-depth look at your community. In Focus with Mike Kallmeyer, a half-hour show dedicated to the important issues, driven to bring decision makers together, and committed to elevating discussion and debate. Your community, your state, your show. In Focus with Mike Kallmeyer, Sunday mornings at 10:30 on Spectrum News 1. Exclusively on Spectrum. Spectrum News 1, a new kind of news channel dedicated to refreshing storytelling and empowering communities across the Buckeye State. With your local forecast every 10 minutes and all of the essential news you need 24/7. Plus, in-depth shows and exclusives focused on your community. Always Ohio, always refreshing, always on. We are Spectrum News 1, exclusively on Spectrum.
weather and the sky has always fascinated me, and I live with what I do. I come home, look at the weather forecast, and it's really a part of my life. It's not just a job, it is my passion. I'm Chief Meteorologist here, Rick Elwell. We have a very experienced weather team. We know what's important to Ohioans as they make their plans every day because we are part of the community. I'm Eric Elwell, Chief Meteorologist, Spectrum News 1.
A new study is challenging the coronavirus fighting powers of hydroxychloroquine. A professor who was part of the study says patients who received the drug didn't fare any better or worse than those who didn't get it. The study was published Thursday in the New England Journal of Medicine. It has data on more than 1,000 coronavirus patients in New York over the course of the month. Researchers say there is no evidence hydroxychloroquine helped people survive or prevented their need to be put on a ventilator. The President and First Lady are remembering the lives lost to the coronavirus and offering support to those on the front lines as they mark the National Day of Prayer.
We pray for every family stricken with grief and devastated with a tragic loss. We pray for the doctors, the nurses, and first responders waging war against the invisible enemy.
President Trump also recognized some of the people who have taken extraordinary steps to help others, including a Brooklyn landlord who waived rent for 200 tenants and a nurse from Charlotte who helped at a New York City field hospital. Several faith leaders also spoke at the event and shared their prayers for recovery from the pandemic.
All right, here are a few bullet points for what I'm working on for when we come back from break. Increasing clouds overnight and into your Friday. Cold rain for most of us on Friday. Even just a few showers. That feel more like winter than spring. And then a freeze warning on Saturday. We may be even tracking some snow. I'm meteorologist Andrew Kozak. Stay with us. The forecast is on its way.
Hey. Hi. How are you? Evening. Whew. So, what's the plan?
You jump in there, the drought ends, and then the crops grow.
Everyone's happy. Right. Okay. What if instead we built some sort of system that would get the water from the river down to the fields? Like with tubes or something?
A gravity-driven water distribution network.
Yes! Huh?
You got it here?
No. No.
Oh. Well, everybody walked all the way up here, so...
Go on, fiddle with it!
In you go.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I like him. You like everyone.
Well, I'm a people person.
Eventually, somebody realizes there's a better way to do things. Like a mobile service that's the most reliable, with the fastest overall speeds, and now with 5G. It's a better way to mobile. It's Spectrum Mobile.
You know, people, we don't just know about the weather, we know about Ohio.
You never have to wait for your forecast with your Weather on the Ones.
Weather on the Ones, every 10 minutes, exclusively on Spectrum. Spectrum News 1, a new kind of news channel dedicated to refreshing storytelling and empowering communities across the Buckeye State. With your local forecast every 10 minutes and all of the essential news you need 24/7. Plus, in-depth shows and exclusives focused on your community. Always Ohio, always refreshing, always on. We are Spectrum News 1, exclusively on Spectrum.
Maybe I'll run for president, maybe I won't, but I will tell you that I'm not going to go away.
And I don't think Michigan can become the Michigan of old.
We're probably the first professional sports team in the world that was built by the fans.
We're the biggest ice cream shipper in the nation, setting the standard for American ice cream.
I get to live my dream. I mean, what more could I ask for?
Conversations, Sunday and Tuesday night at 9 on Spectrum News 1, exclusively on Spectrum.
Hey there, I'm Andrew Kozak with your 7-day forecast coming up in just about a minute 30. Thank you so much for joining me here on Spectrum News 1. So much to cover, let's get right into it. We started off with a pretty nice day, partly cloudy to mostly sunny skies. Now the clouds thickened up and really, especially just south and east of Cleveland, a couple of showers actually along the front. That's going to be a big game changer for us. Behind it, we have got some really cold air. Take a look at this. A freeze warning is in effect for the entire state of Ohio, and that's from late Friday night through Saturday morning as those temperatures really drop behind this front. Friday starts off with relatively chilly weather. I mean, we should be looking at high temperatures back into the 60s to near 70, even for us. Instead, we'll be in the 40s for most of the day, even 30s in some cases, with a cold rain mainly south of the Cleveland metro. Some of that will head up toward Akron, Mansfield. We could have a couple of drops in Cleveland, but the big story is once we get the rain out of the way, everybody, including us, affected by some massively cold temperatures, we could be looking at some snowfall, believe it or not, across the lake, mainly south of Cleveland. Now, all of this, with temperatures in the upper 20s and low 30s Saturday morning, we will recover by the time we get into Saturday afternoon. But look, we should be at the very coolest in the mid to upper 60s. We're going to have near record cold statewide as we head into your Saturday with a very slow recovery next week. Some good news, we're in this gray area, even a little bit of light orange. This is May 14th through the 20th, meaning the outlook long term is that we're going to start to warm back up even above average, but it may take the next 6 to 10 days. Friday lows, upper 30s to the low 40s. Again, your 7-day forecast is showing that we could even have some snow, maybe a little bit of ice mixing in on Saturday, about a half an inch south of Cleveland. Then as we get into Sunday and Monday, it all melts off, a couple of showers. Next week is much better. We're finally in the 50s, even 60s, Wednesday to Thursday. A chance of showers by the end of next week. Right now, a live look at your storm track Doppler radar.
If you've had trouble finding meat on the shelves, going meatless one day a week could help you and the environment. Spectrum News 1's Chelsea Washington reports.
For some, there's nothing like a good burger or steak, but going without sometimes is good for your health and the environment. We checked in with a sustainability expert from World Centric who has some advice to those considering cutting out meat one day a week or more.
For me, when I started looking for plant-based alternatives, I went to the freezer section, and there's all sorts of, similar looking things like sausages, chicken nuggets, but that aren't actually sausages or chicken nuggets. And so that might be a good place to start. Looking at the different plant-based burgers that are available that you can dress up with other things that you like cheese or what have you, and I think that some of them are very similar to meat, but other ones, are very different, and you just gotta realize that they're gonna taste completely different from meat, but they're gonna also have the same effects in terms of like filling and having protein and making your body feel good.
As for the environment, World Centric says if Americans give up meat just one day a week, we could save up to 100 billion gallons of water a year. But perhaps even more startling, says World Centric, is a recent experiment that was conducted.
NASA recently did a flyover to try to understand where methane was coming from. And methane, again, is this really potent greenhouse gas. And they found that livestock factories were the major source of methane in the environment. And so one of the ways that we can help all curb climate change is reducing our meat intake so that we're just not producing so much methane and changing the climate.
As for your pocketbook, World Centric says you'll probably find yourself with a few extra bucks to spare if you limit meat consumption.
The more days you can go without eating meat, the better in terms of your own personal health, your effect on the environment, and now with the economic shortage of meat, you'll probably save some money and some grief trying to find that in the store.
Chelsea Washington, Spectrum News.
One of the first cases of coronavirus in Ohio, an elderly man who was so sick the doctors thought he would die, is now making a surprising recovery. 76-year-old Gary Campbell was recently wheeled out of the University of Cincinnati Hospital and started recovery from coronavirus. He spent 45 days in a medically induced coma and sedated as doctors tried to figure out how to treat him. They thought he wouldn't make it after he got infections on top of the virus. Doctors say a ventilator was key to his recovery, but Campbell credits his family for helping him get through it.
I call it my family strong. We were there all the time, 24/7. One of the family members was always there. Well, I didn't know that, but your brain feels it. They all prayed for me. Everybody. That's the difference.
Wow, what an amazing story. Doctors say they learned from Campbell's case and now have better treatments if someone gets sick. And that ends another hour of news here on Spectrum News 1, but our coverage continues 24/7. Coming up next, the latest on the coronavirus, and of course, we'll take a look at your Weather on the One's forecast. In the meantime, here are some things you might not have known about our state.
Ohio Fun Facts are sponsored by the Ohio Senior Health Insurance Information Program. We know things look different. We know things have changed. And we know these are challenging times. But we know we will get through this. We know that we can overcome anything. We know that we can do it together. And we know that no matter what comes next, we will be here for you. Spectrum News 1, exclusively on Spectrum.
Nobody wants to imagine the heartbreak of losing a pet. But when the time inevitably comes, Eternal Paws will be there for you. We're here for you in your time of loss. We work directly for you and provide private cremation services. However you choose to remember your loving pet, we have many memorial options. Custom urns and jewelry, clay and ink paw prints, engravings, and more. Eternal Paws Pet Cremation Service. We're here for you when you need to be there for them.
Being involved in the community really allows us to be in tune with our neighborhoods. These people invite us into their homes, and to meet them face to face is extremely rewarding.
This is community. This is Spectrum News 1, exclusively on Spectrum.
We see you, heroes. With unwavering commitment, our vital healthcare workers are keeping us safe, healthy, alive. The true heart of a hero. Say thanks at sumahealth.org/heroes.
Probably the first professional sports team in the world that was built by the fans.
We were the biggest ice cream shipper in the nation, setting the standard for American ice cream.
I get to live my dream. I mean, what could I ask for?
Conversations, Sunday and Tuesday night at 9 on Spectrum News 1, exclusively on Spectrum. It's 10 o'clock. Have questions about COVID-19? Visit coronavirus.ohio.gov.
Thanks for joining us on Ohio's only 24-hour statewide news channel. I'm Mary Lee Melendez, and this is Spectrum News 1, where, as always, we're committed to bringing you the very latest on the coronavirus. In the U.S., the number of new housing listings fell